Hello, and welcome to the 45th episode of Recluse Horror. This is a daily horror movie review podcast. With me again today is Sam.
Hey.
Who I remembered to introduce today. So, just a little background on the project. Back in April, on my birthday, I decided I wanted to watch and review a horror movie every single day. I have done so for the past 312 days. Although only the last 45 of them have been podcasts. Before that, it was text reviews. So each episode, I go over 2 movies, one of which is a movie that I've watched that very night, and another which I've reviewed previously in text, in which I just go over whatever impressions that I have left, aided by the text review. So I did another short film today. I'm just this schedule. It's time consuming and stuff, trying to get into training and trying to focus on training and get 8 hours of sleep, which I have not done since I started training. Yesterday was kind of close because we did the short film, so I'm gonna keep trying to do that. Luckily, this should be a pretty short review, right?
Yeah, not a lot to say.
Yeah. So this is, the one that we watched today is Don't Stare from 2017. That is from Sparks Productions. Sam, how did you like Don't Stare?
I did not like it.
No?
No.
I thought it was okay. I think on a technical level it was pretty good. It had some failings in some of the other areas, but...
Yeah, it did show that, like, they know how to make a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And none of it looked bad, and...
No. Yeah.
And none of the effects looked bad, and none of the lighting looked bad. All the technical stuff was good, and, you know, like, in a way, at that level... Like, that's kind of what you're
going for.
You're trying to do and practice.
Showcase your talent.
Yeah.
Yes, and practice.
Yeah,
So.
Actually doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is much better practice than thinking about doing it and stuff like that.
Believe me, going through training, I totally get that
exactly.
right now.
You can only think about doing something for so long.
Yeah. So, basically, the movie... I guess I shouldn't even say... Okay, it's about a guy... who
you might as well just spoil it. It's what you didn't like about it. Okay,
so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and throw a spoiler tag on this entire review.
It's only 10 minutes, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a 10-minute movie. It's a short film. If you do want to watch it, again, it's technically very proficient. That's as much as we can pretty much say.
It's almost a non-spoiler.
Yeah, it is almost a non-spoiler. I have a feeling that if you went to the description of it, it would tell you this aspect of it. But I just want to, not big into spoilers. So, yeah, absolutely. If you don't want to, be spoiled on this and watch it yourself, go ahead and skip. I'm going to say skip 10 minutes. Skip 10 minutes into the future, not to the 10-minute mark. From wherever we are now. So yeah, it's a movie about black-eyed kids, which I have previously mentioned is not my favorite thing. Because we're saying that it's about black-eyed kids, I guess I won't say the circumstances too much about it. But we're probably gonna have to spoil the whole thing anyway, the whole rest of it.
Sure. There's not much more to it.
There really isn't. It's very basic. It's a black-eyed kids movie. So what did you think of the acting? There was only 2 actors.
It was fine. There wasn't much for them to do, so...
Right.
It in no way did it hurt or...
I thought...
Or help.
Right, or help, yeah. I thought the lead sometimes overplayed his hand a little bit, but, I mean, part of that is due to the circumstances of how...
Yeah, there's very little dialogue as well. You could tell they're trying to get a lot through
emoting.
Emoting, yeah.
Yeah, which is sort of hard in a short film because you're not necessarily working with the most experienced actors. But honestly, like, as far as the short films that I've seen, he's definitely, like, in the top half of actors that I've seen in these. So, he's by no means bad. There's just a few moments where it's a little bit oversold. So, this was written, directed, and produced by Evan Sparks. That's why it's Sparks Productions. Which, that's... stuff seems like it's pretty proficient. This person clearly knows what he's doing. The writing of it, I would say maybe a touch on less. Again, I'm just not attracted to the whole BEK phenomenon, black-eyed kids, black-eyed children, whatever. I just don't like that. And I've yet to see a movie that does it well. That's another one. If anybody has any suggestions of BEK movies that are actually worth watching, please send suggestions my way, because I literally have not seen a good one. Yeah, I felt like right out of the bag, like the as far as the writing is concerned, like the actor just immediately freaks out. And I didn't really like that. Like, he sees the kid before he sees that the kid has black eyes.
They must have watched a lot of Black Eye movies.
Yeah. I felt like he sort of was trying to do, and I'm not talking about the actor again, I'm talking about the writing. I felt like they were kind of trying to, like, get away from that horror trope of, like, people not reacting appropriately to situations and just, like, being completely trusting in every situation. But I think they went too far in the other direction, where he just immediately freaks out and he grabs a knife and he's all freaked out and this, this whole situation. I feel like if he had seen the kid's eyes, that would be one thing, but the kid was just standing out there not doing anything. So that's something. I applaud the attempt of, having people react appropriately. He does, like, he runs inside and, like, locks his door, and, like, that's fine if he had seen the kids with the eyes, but he didn't. So,
my only real problem with this is that it's just, like, kind of a pretty standard story. Mm-hmm. Although competent, the like making of the film was, it was just regular, it was just really simple, really plain.
Yeah.
There's a few okay shots. Most of all, it just kind of felt like an episode of Goosebumps or something like that. Like,
right.
Like there was no gore, and there was like.
Was there an effect? I mean, other than the eyes?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's just really not much.
Mm-hmm. It's very simple.
Yeah, which could be good, but it just was lacking, I think, in that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying not to be too harsh on it. It's a 10-minute movie.
Yeah, it is a 10-minute movie. There's only so much you can get across.
There's only so much you can do, but I feel like because of that, they may have wasted time trying to set a mood.
Right.
That's like 10 minutes. You only have 10 minutes to set the mood. Set the mood and have something happen.
Right. Yeah.
And I think this maybe didn't manage its time very well in that way.
Speaking to that mood piece there, and this is probably the last thing I have to say. So they introduced a prop in the very first scene of the movie, and this prop, it's obviously very, very important. It's supposed to be very important to the story, but they actually never work it in any way. It's only used as something that's like later used for a scare, kind of, but it's not a very good scare because there's no point. It just feels too emphasized.
Yeah, right.
If they had tried something else with it, or if it was something that was already existing in that reality,
or had something to do with something.
Yeah, if it had anything to do with anything, but they never tie it into anything, so it just feels sort of extraneous and like.
It's like, yo, you got 10 minutes. Like, don't waste your time on this stuff. It's not part of the story, kind of.
No, yeah, exactly. But honestly, I would be interested in seeing more of this director's work, this Evan Sparks. Like I said, all the technical elements and everything were there, and the story wasn't bad, and the writing wasn't bad or anything. It just didn't have enough of kind of anything. And again, I just don't particularly care for black-eyed kids. So, was there anything else that you wanted to note? Is there anyone you would suggest this to?
No. It's just kind of like, I know it's only 10 minutes, but it's probably a pass.
Yeah.
To be honest, that seems like tough.
Yeah.
For a 10-minute movie, but
yeah,
it's not giving you anything new. And it's not anything special other than like, these people can make what looks like a movie.
Right. Yeah. I obviously, if you're into the whole black-eyed
I guess
kids
so.
thing,
I don't get that.
It's probably a good one. I bet you'd think it was good. My problem is that like they never really go into. In most of these movies, and this one is no exception, of course, it's 10 minutes, so I wouldn't expect it to, but they never talk about the origin of these kids. They never really talk about what these kids can do, or, are they real kids? Are they friggin' aliens? Are they ghosts? Like, what are they? And they never talk about that in any of these movies. And I guess that's fine because the lore, the origin of it being fairly recent. This is not like an old one. It's newer than the Chupacabra. And it's just they don't go into any of that, and the the lore doesn't have anything for them there. They just, people see the kids and they're weird and
that's the movie and that's the premise and that's the imagery.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody else that I would suggest this for? Well, if you're just looking for technically, I mean, if you're trying to find a director to make your stuff and you want to reach out to those people, like, this person can definitely direct. And again, writing is not bad either. It just needed more ideas, and that's not going to be something that's easy to get across in that period of time. So let's see. Got like 2 more minutes. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Let's move on.
Okay. Well, yeah, if you're looking for this one, again, you can go to the Sparks Productions YouTube channel, and usually I try to go to the YouTube channel and see if they have other work on there. I completely spaced it tonight. It's kind of a weird day, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. You can definitely check them out. I would suggest if this person does have more stuff on the Sparks Production page does have more stuff on it that is horror related, or if it's something that appeals to you, I would say check it out, because while this one isn't super good, you can see the talent back behind it. Did you have anything else to add?
No.
Okay. So that's our review of Don't Stare from 2017. Yeah, it came out like a month ago, so. So the next movie we have to talk about is, it's called 3, The Ritual. This was a Foreign Friday pick a while back. It's a Russian-German movie. It's from 2015.
Yeah.
3, The Ritual from 2015. How did you like it?
I can't remember.
You can't remember. Sam didn't remember this movie when I said the title, and then it took him a little while even looking through the pictures of it to remember.
Yeah, and now that I remember what movie it is, I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm remembering what happened in the movie.
Mm-hmm. But not how you felt about it?
No, I think I felt not knowing how I felt about it.
I kind of get that. I know you really like the visuals, and that's its strongest feature and emphasis, so... yeah, it's beautiful, slow-paced, and it definitely went for visuals over story development. It seems like it took a lot of cues from Tarsem Singh's The Cell. Do you remember getting that sense watching it? Even just the story
in a way. It's not as, like, gaudy.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if I like that better or not.
Worse. It's a little cleaner.
And it's possibly not as pretentious as that, either.
Really? I felt like it was more.
It's pretty pretentious-esque, but I feel like this had more of more meaning, or maybe leaving you with more
questions.
Yeah, more questions, which makes it a little less pretentious, because at least it doesn't feel like
think about things.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like this is what this is.
Okay. Yeah. I have no way of knowing, of course, whether the filmmakers had any idea about The Cell or if they had seen The Cell or anything like that. But it's not outright stealing that visual style. Even so, even if I had been informed they definitely watched that, I wouldn't say it was stealing their style. So, the plot is also similar to The Cell, as I had mentioned. So it's hard kind of not to make the comparison. So, 3, The Ritual centers around 2 sisters living in a town swept by a mysterious ailment. When one of the sisters falls ill with the sickness, the other must use a ritual to enter her sister's mind to find the source of the sickness. And that whole last sentence is the whole plot of The Cell, minus one particular aspect, but we don't need to talk about The Cell. So as I mentioned, the visual style is very strong. There's probably more B-roll than A-roll in this movie, occasionally dotted by narration from one of the sisters, but a lot of the visuals are left on their own. There are a lot of scenic shots, many of which have been tinted in various colors. There are some very good visual effects, most if not all of which were practical. Some of the plot and style even looks a bit Silent Hill-ish, which, having not seen the movie, I refer to the games, not the movie, which I thought was actually kind of neat in a way. The town in which the girls live has a very old world feel, but it's hard to say what time period the movie involves. I mean, there's definitely no cell phones, their clothing is very outdated, but, you get into some of those really, really small towns in the, Eastern Europe area, and you might see stuff like that. It's not totally modern and not totally out of date. It's just sort of, how do you say that?
Quaint.
Timeless.
Oh, kind of.
It is also quaint, but it's a bit timeless. So, what did you think about the visuals? Do you have any strong memories about them?
Yeah, I looked up some pictures too to see what it looked like.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I liked the visuals. I remember, it was probably the movie's strongest, its strength, its biggest strength was the visuals.
Yeah.
But no, they were good. I wish I could remember something more specific about them. It's just a very moody and atmospheric movie.
Yes, it is. There's a lot of mood, and they do that very well. They set the mood very well. Even if some of the other elements are pretty, left up to interpretation or unclear.
Yeah, so it's hard to say about the visuals, because even just regular frames in the movie are very picturesque.
Oh gosh, the framing of
yeah.
No, you could take a screenshot of anything and it'd look like somebody had actually taken a picture. It wouldn't look like.
So that's quite an awesome thing to do. Yes. Just in general.
Yeah, very, very strong visuals.
What was the question?
Just what you thought about the visuals in general.
Yeah, they were good. Okay. I think maybe a little derivative, like you said, and a review on the IMDb review said the same exact thing.
Oh, that it looks like The Cell, or?
Yeah, that looks like The Cell and Silent Hill put together.
Did it say Silent Hill too? Oh man, did I write that review?
They also said Fatal Frame.
Yeah, if I had played Fatal Frame.
So I don't know. Maybe I feel like maybe it's a little standard or a little obvious of an overall look.
Okay.
But it's definitely very good. It's very well executed. I'd probably be way more impressed if it was more of a unique look, opposed to kind of stuff that people
just taking parts
can immediately name what it's kind of like. Right. You and whoever wrote that other review, and probably a bunch of people who have also seen it.
But by the same token, like, it's it gives it a sort of familiarity, and to a certain extent, I feel like definitely parts of it feel slightly derivative as far as the visual styling is concerned. The reason why we're spending so much time on this is because, like I said, it's the biggest element. But I mean, I think it all fits together. Even though they're taking things like The Cell and Silent Hill, if you just take one image from one and one image of the other, they don't look like the same. But you could take a lot of the images in these, and you'd be like, well, this looks kind of like The Cell, and this looks like Silent Hill. This is like a Cell person in a Silent Hill setting, or vice versa, So, I mean, it is a very good blend. I think it's a very good blend, and it's a very good style. I definitely see how it's derivative, but I've never seen the two combined. So, I don't know. Just personally. And again, it's very pretty. Regardless of whether it's derivative or not in certain ways, it's very pretty. So the acting is pretty understated most of the time, and not always in a positive way. Some of the scenes that feel like they should have some sort of punch really lack it, despite the emotions of the characters, and the way they should be expressing them. In some places, though, the subtlety allows the visuals to take the driver's seat, and in a lot of places, that was the right move. The movie has a habit of making the point it was trying to convey, and then very quickly going back to the visuals and no dialogue, giving you a chance to really contemplate what you were shown without missing anything that's currently happening on screen. This gives the movie an odd, though mostly pleasant rhythm, though some may not be able to roll with it. If you like this film, it's one that you'll probably feel compelled to watch a few times in order to really pick up on all of the symbolism and decide what exactly happened by the end, because there are definitely some things they leave rather clandestine.
I wish I remembered this movie more, because I do remember the rather dry acting, and I think I liked that.
Most of the time,
because it didn't seem like over dramatized.
And it's a pretty damn dramatic situation.
Yeah, very, very dire.
Yeah. The stakes are high.
And I really like that it fit with the, like, dream-esque theme of the movie. It's very dreamlike, the movie.
Very much.
Which is in my memory the thing I enjoyed the most about it. I really like anything that can kind of capture, like, a feeling that's, like, somewhat like deja vu-esque or anything like that. Like, I feel like I've possibly had a similar dream to this movie in some respect.
Yeah.
And anything that kind of can do that is kind of like amazing in its own. Whether it's a good movie or not is another question.
Right.
I'm thinking I didn't like the pacing so much in this. Was this in English?
No, it wasn't.
It was in Russian, right?
It was in Russian, but there's almost no dialogue. So, right. I mean, there's like maybe 10 minutes. If I remember correctly, and I might be wrong, I think there's only like 10 minutes of dialogue in the whole movie.
I'm thinking I probably had a problem with the pacing. But I can't.
You can't really remember.
I'm not remembering it good, which probably means I did
have a problem with the pacing.
Yeah. Probably not a huge problem. If I had a huge problem, I would
remember it for being so annoying. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so like I said, in the end, the audience is left with a lot of questions, but none of them are so relevant to what the filmmakers were trying to accomplish that they feel bothersome in any way, really. The rhythm of the movie seems to sort of separate the story into specific messages and themes, though I may be reading too much into the pacing and the structure. Some of the themes involve religion, faith, sexual assault, death, family, and dependence. Though there are a lot more themes, many of which I probably didn't even pick up on. This will definitely be too slow of a movie for some people, but it's on the short side as far as length goes, at about an hour and 15 minutes, which might help make up the pace for some people if you're on the fence. There isn't much in the way of subtitles, as there's so little dialogue, so if you're not really big on them and don't mind a slower movie, this might be a good pick. I think it's still available on Netflix, but I'm not sure. I haven't checked in a little while, so... yeah, I don't know. I kind of liked that rhythm, even though, again, the pacing was very slow. I liked they give you something to think about, and then they show you these things that are involved in it.
Yeah, and the next thing happens.
But they give you the time to contemplate it over this backdrop, that sort of hammers home that theme, and then they move on to the next part, and they have more dialogue that talks about something else, and then they go into that. So I don't know. It has a certain rhythm and a certain feel. I think it's a very palatable movie. If you're into that sort of artistic sort of expression, again, it feels like Tarsem Singh. If you know Tarsem Singh, he's a director and I think he writes too, because I think he might have written The Fall.
I think so too.
He makes these gorgeous movies. The visuals are incredible. Like if you've seen, there's this movie called The Fall, about it's about a guy. He's a stunt actor back in
liar.
He's a liar,
right?
Yeah, he's a liar. He's a stunt actor back in like the 20s or 30s, I think. And he has a fall and breaks some things and ends up in this hospital and starts telling this little girl a story. And the story that he tells, they tell visually. He's narrating over it, and the little girl is imagining different things happening in her head, and that's what's happening on screen. Very, very strong visuals in his movies. If you did like this movie, definitely check out Tarsem Singh. Most of his stuff isn't quite this dark. The Cell is darker.
Yeah, Cell's not great.
I kind of like The Cell.
Kind of cheesy.
It is kind of cheesy, but I do kind of like it.
There's some cool visual stuff.
Incredible visuals.
It looks
and some
like
good acting,
it looks
too.
like more of a music video than a movie.
And it's got
doesn't have to be a bad thing. But...
No, and it's got the two Vinces in it and Jennifer Lopez. Yeah, and it's got Vince Vaughn, Vincent D'Onofrio, and Jennifer Lopez.
I was thinking this, like, the style of the movie actually reminds me a little bit of, like, Antichrist and...
Oh, it kind of does. Gaspar Noé or Gaspar Noé?
Yeah, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
What was that other movie? Didn't we see another one besides Antichrist?
Have you seen Nymphomaniac? He did Nymphomaniac.
No, I've heard of it, though. But anyways, it reminds me of that style a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I would probably say I even like this movie more than Antichrist. Like, I know that's, like, fucked up and weird, that movie.
It is.
But it's not fucked up and weird in, like, an as entertaining way as it wants to be.
Yes, I would say so.
And it wouldn't take much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To make it, like, semi-interesting. Like,
it wouldn't, yeah. It's true.
But, yeah, it's kind of that kind of feel. I feel like if you're into that,
mm-hmm.
And if you're into that type of movie, without just wanting to see fucked up things happen.
Yeah, then this is a good one.
Yeah, then it's a good movie. But it's not, like, fucked up in the same way that those movies are.
No, not at all. I mean, there is definitely some darker elements and themes, but I wouldn't say anything is as dark as half the stuff in that movie.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff feels like it's just thrown in so that, like...
Just for shock value?
They're like, oh, let's do this thing. All right, we gotta write a movie around it now. What are we gonna do?
Right, yeah, we want a movie where this happens. We gotta reverse engineer this movie.
I would be interested in seeing one of the other movies
by that director.
By the director,
Pavel Kovalev, I'm gonna say Pavel Kovalev. Just look up 3 The Ritual. It's 3 like 3 eyes. It's like I The Ritual. It's not a good title for looking somebody up for sure. But yeah, another person that I would say it's kind of similar is while completely different mood, Terry Gilliam. You know, something like Tideland or...
Yeah, kind of Tideland.
But with a different color palette than he tends to use, but Terry Gilliam-esque. So if you're into any of those, if you're okay with like a sort of darker version of that, and quieter version of that, I would say check out those. Any of those really visually driven directors. Oh, it's kind of like Mother visually in certain aspects.
In certain aspects, not quite.
Not as close. Not as close. Or The Fountain.
Yeah, just a big focus on trying to hone in on symbolism and setting a scene. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah. Who would you suggest this to beyond the people that we just...
I don't know, but I'm looking at the poster here, and the poster doesn't say The Ritual.
It just says
3 on it.
With 3 eyes.
And all I can think of is when Street Fighter 3 came out. On the arcade cabs, they just had 3 on the top because their hubris was so big.
Their hubris
after Street Fighter 2 that they were just like, we're just calling this 3.
That's it.
Everybody will know Street Fighter 3 is out.
Yeah.
And that game did turn out to be awesome, but like no one played it when it first came out.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Strike is great.
The poster just reminded me of that. And now I'm no longer talking about horror movies.
It's true. That's okay. We all do it.
We stopped talking about horror movies a lot.
Podcast. Yeah. Well, all the best characters are third strike characters, so everybody else can suck it.
But I don't know who I'd recommend this to. It's kind of a hard recommend. It's really like, I don't remember disliking it, but a lot of what I can see about the movie, I could not dislike.
It looks like most of the pictures that people took and posted online are non-spoilery, so you don't see a lot of the really strong visual effects when you look up pictures about it, because all of those scenes have to do with what's happening inside of like that, trying to get into the sister's whatever to fix her and all.
Okay, so stuff. We are talking about that. I was wondering.
Yeah,
I meant to say, move over, Matrix. We got 3.
Got 3.
That was my joke.
But yeah, so the if you're into the strong visual styles, I mean, it almost feels like vignettes in a certain way, because each of these like segments of the film where they're talking about one specific theme is separate from itself. So you know, it's kind of like if you want like a short film about a specific theme, one of those themes like that I mentioned, like dependence or faith or whatever, then that's what you're kind of going to get out of this. Unfortunately, if you're just looking for one of those, then you're not going to find it. And there is like an underlying framing device in there, if you see it that way, which is the whole external part of the movie. And the ending, as I mentioned, it leaves more questions than I would have really cared for from this story. But since because
they could easily just kind of
wrapped it up in a regular horror movie way, and you would have understood it
in a way, you know. it's asking so much from the viewer already.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They could have done a little bit more to be like, see, it ended.
Well, here's the payoff.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
it.
Exactly.
But
I wouldn't say that.
End.
I wouldn't say that if it wasn't for the kind of like pace the movie took and the turns it took and the way it went about things.
Yeah. There isn't really any payoff, but honestly, I don't think this movie really requires payoff in the same way that other movies do, because it has so much else that does work, and there's so much more that the movie is about. It's not about the end. It really is about the journey and the specific,
I have no idea what happens at the end.
Yeah. Oh, well, we can talk about it off air. But...
So that's kind of why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
It must have kind of been a trickled out end.
Right.
Because I no idea. I remember the story and what happens, but the end, I just like, it must have ended. I stopped watching it, so I had to have ended at some point.
Right. Okay. Well, did you have anything else?
Nah.
No? Okay. Well, that's our review of 3 The Ritual from 2015. Wait.
2015?
That's 2:15 as in the time of the trailer that you're watching. Yeah, it is 2015, though, as well as that. Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, from 2015. And that's our show. If you enjoyed this podcast, please rate, review, subscribe, comment, whatever it is on whatever platform that you found us. If you do want to share it with friends and they don't have the same platform that you use, we're available on YouTube, Player FM, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, and pretty much any podcatcher out there. If you'd like to reach out to us on social media, you can find us on Recluse Horror on pretty much everything: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And you can email me at reclusehorror@gmail.com. And again, like I said, if you know any, BEK, Black Eyed Kids, Black Eyed Children movies that are worth watching, go ahead and send me an email or, a message or whatever on something, because I'd be really interested in seeing a good one. I just have not really done so, not being interested in it. And I still haven't gotten any suggestions for good ghost movies, so ghost/haunting
Nobody listens
movies.
to this podcast. But if there is somebody and they know of a movie about black-eyed children wearing a pair of British Knights eating at Burger King, send it to my inbox at gmail.inbox.
.puppies.supplies.
Yeah.
Okay. At puppies.supplies. Okay. So, but yeah, if you know any good haunting movies or anything like that, I'm still looking for suggestions. I'm just going to assume there aren't any good ones, really, other than the 2 that I mentioned in that episode, which is House on Haunted Hill and The Haunting. So, those are the only good ones as far as I'm concerned. And that's pretty pathetic, because I kind of didn't really care so much for The Haunting. So,
Casper, the Friendly Ghost is a ghost movie.
Yeah.
And it's great.
I know. That's what I said was my favorite haunting movie, and you laughed at me or something.
Ricci's in it.
I know.
She's always reaching for things.
She is.
You gotta admire that.
You do. She is.
Are you recording now?
Yes, Samuel. What is your review? Your rating, rather. Samuel.
I don't have a rating for 3, The Ritual. I have a ranking.
Mm-hmm.
And I give 3, The Ritual, the ranking of double impact.
Double impact. Yeah, so I think that's our episode. Sam, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.